Will there be any further punishment for Alejandro Garnacho following his spill-off with the boss Erik Ten Hag? Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb, and here is the truth about the situation between our boss and arguably our most important player. Now, just to take you back, if you do recall, these two had their moments. You do recall when we were drawing against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium, the 2-2 draw in the last game we had. There was an incident where on Twitter, one of the biggest and most controversial YouTubers who claims to support Manchester United in Mark Goldbridge went on Twitter and gave his opinion, like he always does, gave an opinion about the substitution of Erik Ten Hag, pulling off Alejandro Garnacho at halftime. And if I'm to read for you the tweet that Erik Ten Hag, made about Alejandro Garnacho, he said that Erik Ten Hag seems to be blaming Alejandro Garnacho for the poor performance of Man United, because at the end of the game, in the post-match press conference, Erik Ten Hag came out and said that he had to fix or repair the right wing because it wasn't doing well. Now, remember, the right wing is where Alejandro Garnacho plays. Now, this guy, Mark Goldbridge, goes on to say that it was Erik Ten Hag blaming Alejandro Garnacho in a subtle way. Now, I honestly, with all due respect, I sort of thought, Ten Hag was just stating a fact. And as a manager, that is his job. You'll see a problem, identify a solution, and do it. But like he always does, of course, Mr. United stand will always try to find a way of coming out there to attack, to cause controversy around the team, even when it's not necessary. At times it makes sense, but at times it's not necessary. But this boy, Alejandro Garnacho, a 19-year-old kid, goes on and likes these two tweets that you see right there from Mark Goldbridge. And it was recorded, of course, it became famous, it trended on Twitter and everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. So it was believed. There are people who have been starting now to start stories saying Erik Ten Hag might give Alejandro Garnacho the same treatment that he gave to Jadon Sancho, that saw him punished from the club, and now he has even deleted anything to do with Manchester United off his Instagram. No, I'm here to tell you the truth about the whole situation. First of all, it is not true, guys. It is not true that Alejandro Garnacho is going to be given a test of the dose from Erik Ten Hag. No, 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 no. For starters, Garnacho trained well with the team. That was on Tuesday. He trained yesterday as well, extremely well with the team, and it was all smiles. Everything was seemed okay. But it does not mean nothing was done about the situation. Erik Ten Hag, like you would expect, like anyone would do, went on and he had a moment with Alejandro Garnacho and spoke to him about the way he behaved, saying that if you recall, Garnacho went on later to unlike the tweets that he had liked, because immediately after the game, Erik Ten Hag, it got to the attention of Erik Ten Hag, and he had a meeting with Garnacho and spoke to him about it, telling him this does not look good because it seems to undermine the manager. Now, of course, people will come out there and start giving theories. Now, there have been theories flying around that this is a sign of the sense of entitlement among United players, because the reality is, why would a 19-year-old kid who was given his first chance by Erik Ten Hag be going out on Twitter and liking a comment that seems to be attacking the man who gave him the chance to play for the club for substituting him when he didn't have a good game? It was clear Leandro Garnacho was not having a good game. We have requested and called for Erik Ten Hag to be substituting Garnacho, even in the games he has played well, because towards the last minutes of the game, he's usually not adding us a lot of value. So Erik Ten Hag, there's no way he would have been apologetic. He just said it's a fact that we all saw. So there have been people who have been, of course, trying to come up with all theories saying that Garnacho could be punished as well because of how ruthless Erik Ten Hag. For starters, this is not true. Erik Ten Hag says this was handled and it's done, and expect Garnacho to be starting against Coventry. He will be in the team and he will start that game most likely because he has been forgiven, and that's how Erik Ten Hag wants to manage things going forward. Not everything should be a banishing, should warrant a banishing of a player. Otherwise, we won't be left with any players. Yes, you can set standards, but by managing these players, because managing football today with this social media generation, with these social media times, is different, because the players too are human, and they've got feelings in them, and because of social media, it's easy for them to let out what they feel on social media. So they are always once in a while going to fall for social media and be forced to make a comment, but that does not mean they can't play for the club no more. But the one guy who is still not happy, who is not amused by the behavior of Garnacho and so many other players, and there are instances that we've not known. Whereas so many have been leaked, there are some that we don't get to know. It is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is still not amused because the things he wants to change about the club is the way players seem to have a lot of power. They come up, they behave like they have a certain sense of entitlement to the club. There are players who feel they should be starting in certain positions. Now it's all around Carrington and the entire Old Trafford, and they feel it. So Sir Jim feels that this young 19-year-old boy who has been loved by everyone coming out to do what he did shows you what is going on around the club. Because trust me, if it were the Sir Alex Ferguson times with the Roy Keanes, with all these big players who were around Man United back then, there is no way a young player would go on Twitter and like such a comment about their manager. There is no way they can do that because the environment around you would not even help you facilitate a thought like that to cross your mind. So it shows you that perhaps the surroundings in which these players are allows such behavior, and that is exactly what Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos wants to change. So he's not happy about it, and they are still trying to manage. And that is exactly why Sir Jim says he wants to put around a structure that is going to help the manager to concentrate on managing. But when it comes to such breaches of policy and and rules and rules of engagement at the club, for lack of a better word, there are people. There is a structure around that is going to ensure that that is managed. Now, for example, case in point, if I'm to remind you of Jadon Sancho and how he was banished, there is a story that is coming out that seems to suggest that apparently Jason Wilcox, who is said to come in as one of the guys in the structure as either a head of a head of sporting director or something. Who is about to come in, the guy formerly from Southampton. Apparently, it has been reported that he says he is open to the idea of Jadon Sancho returning to Manchester United. Now that shows you that what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is trying to do is to just let the manager concentrate on the management, and certain decisions around managing behavior of the players and all are mostly with the people around him. The CEO, the directors of football, the technical guys around him will be in charge of the decisions beyond the pitch, which he feels, Sir Jim, in his thinking, will in many ways help the manager get the players play for him. Because the scenario is just to give you perspective. If Erik Ten Hag is if a player does something wrong and it is not Erik Ten Hag, the manager, punishing him, and it's the structure around the manager punishing him, there is no way that player will take it out on the manager. For example, if Garnacho felt sad that Erik Ten Hag, a guy, he has scored 7 goals in the Premier League in 30 games he has played and assisted 3 times in the Premier League. So those are 10 goal contributions. That's decent by our standards now as Man United. But Erik Ten Hag goes in the press and says the things he spoke about him and he feels sad. So they are saying that Erik Ten Hag will not have to manage the player, that the player will be managed by the people who are not the manager, so that he will have no reason not to play for the manager. Because one of the biggest problems that have been there, and I've been saying this consistently from David Moyes while ruling himself, that the first meeting, the first moment David Moyes walked into the dressing room, Rooney saw it all over the players. They were not playing for him. So this is why most managers, however good they have been failing with Manchester United, because the players were sacking the managers. They were either playing for you or not, because the manager had all the powers. So if the players do not like siding with a fair player who a manager has fallen out with, they lucky won't give their best for the manager, because they would want to get him sacked, because they know it is Manchester United, and if they sack this manager, we will get a manager anytime. So that's exactly what Sir Jim is trying to change. And honestly, if you think about it, it's a good way to ease the pressure off the managers. It's a good way to enable the manager concentrate on his work and get the best out of the players. So this Alejandro Garnacho situation is going to give us a proper snippet into what Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are trying to set around the club. That when these issues come, and they will keep coming, instances where players misbehave and they have got to be disciplined. It won't be the manager to discipline them. It will be the structure around the manager. But the players should focus on performing on the pitch. The manager should focus on giving them the best tactics and the best environment to perform on the pitch. Anything else is handled by different departments at the club. So there is no way there will be a fallout between the manager and the player, and it spills over. No, there will be structures to manage that. That's exactly what is going on. But there is nothing now, at least for now, for Erik Ten Hag. There is nothing more he will be doing about the Garnacho situation. And I know he will be asked about it, but trust you me, there is not so much that he will say about this situation in the next press conference that he has. This is the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. Do subscribe. And of course, I've got a team that I work with. You can, if you like this video, you can, of course, become a member or, share a super sticker so that, of course, we keep, of course, supporting these videos coming your way. Of course, every now and then. We'll keep following Manchester United here. That's the truth about the Garnacho and Erik Ten Hag situation.